Good morning, everyone. How are you? How are you? Doing okay? Thumbs up? I see some thumbs up. Hooray, that's what it's all about. I'm going to take out my notes here. Thank you so much, President Green, for the beautiful introduction and all of you for welcoming here to Colby College. It's actually my first time here ever. And it's just been so much fun to get to know every single member of the community that we've met so far. I'm excited to be joined by my mom and my son, who's 4, and my partner, standing back there. And it's just a total pleasure to have this opportunity to share some thoughts with you this morning. I actually was going to give a different talk this morning than the one that I'm planning to deliver today to all of you. And the reason that I changed my mind about what I was going to say was because I spoke with 4 Questbridge scholars before coming here. And they shared some thoughts and perspectives with me that really shifted the way that I think about how I want to share the Questbridge story today. And in a nutshell, they said, Anna, just be real. Don't try to be profound. Don't try to be too philosophical. Don't even try to be visionary. Just tell us about your life and tell us about your experience and ground this conversation in what's really happened and how I came to be standing here. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today, and to share with you actually a part of the Questbridge story that I have not shared before until now. And that's really my own journey in developing this organization and co-founding it and then building it and growing it until now. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more of my own personal path as well alongside of the building of Questbridge, and that's a first for me. So thank you for your patience as I attempt to do that. In terms of being real, I know that many of you and many of you have grown so much. In fact, yesterday I had the joy of, or 2 days ago now maybe, the joy of speaking with Questbridge scholars, and I asked them, how have you changed from freshman to senior year? And maybe you can all reflect on that a little bit when you first started, and how are you different now? And one of the things that I heard over and over again was this kind of beautiful theme of finding your own voice and finding your own path in life, and coming in here and thinking there may be something you have to do that somebody told you to do or that you thought you needed to fulfill, but by the time they were done, they have found their own way of expressing themselves, just as President Green was describing and the speaker about the Atalanta, that story of charting your own path. So when people ask me what's the most important thing about that I've learned designing Questbridge, building Questbridge over these years, what I learned was just that, the importance actually of belonging in a community where you can truly be yourself. Belonging, not meaning sameness, not meaning mirroring or copying or just blending in, but really belonging as you, your true self, your true voice. Knowing that that is good enough, imperfect as you are, that belonging is good enough. I'm going to ask you for a moment to reflect on whether you have that feeling, that you have a sense of belonging in a community or even just with one other person in your life. And if you don't, I invite you to try to pursue that, because actually, independent of wealth and of status and of title and position and any of these other external measures, belonging and community are actually the key to happiness and thriving. Longitudinal studies have shown this. Science will tell you this. Even you'll see in animal communities that when an individual is exiled, for example, that's actually the fastest way that their health declines. This happens to us too. Humans, actually, when we have community, we're healthier, we're happier, we're better. And so when I was a freshman at Stanford, I started, all excited and being in the first generation of my family to attend a college in the US. And I looked down at my freshman transcript, and I saw a C, and I was like, oh no, wait, this is not my transcript. I've never seen a C in my life. What? You know, and I know that most of you probably started college never seeing a C in your life, and I realized, wait a minute, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe this is not the school for me. Maybe actually I am an imposter, just like I was afraid I was. But actually that moment and the moments after that I continued to not do so well my freshman year actually propelled me into thinking about success in a whole different way. And I had to sort of explore the question, what does it really mean to be at a place like Stanford, and what am I doing here anyway? And I decided at one point along the way to say, I need to think differently about success, and I need to think differently about the purpose of college. And it's really not to graduate with a beautiful transcript with a bunch of A's on it. I think, and at that time I had to realize and come to terms with the fact that maybe I need to do in college what every one of us can do, which is to try to do what I came here to do at the time, which was to become a person who can build something in the world that could make a difference for other people that was bigger than myself. And I decided I wasn't going to wait until I graduated and even to see how this whole grade thing played out, that I was just going to start now. At the same time, because it was a little bit of an identity crisis to say, I'm not actually a great student at Stanford right now, I decided to really throw myself also into activities like meditation, like yoga, like journaling and reflection. And they became sort of constant companions of mine too during college and then of course afterwards. And it was this parallel path of sort of reflection and action that really, I think, shaped my sense of what was possible for me. And so this inner search, actually, it turns out that as I was doing this reflection, I started to feel a sense of wholeness and a sense of well-being that was actually totally independent of what my grades looked like and independent of how I was doing or what anybody was saying, actually, or anything like that. And yet, at the same time, this sense of reflection and quietness that I was asking myself to do, that I'm actually quite a social person, so it wasn't always easy just to sit still or to go on a walk alone, but I actually like being alone too, but nonetheless, it was a practice that I had to get used to. And I realized that in the quiet, I actually felt closer to the people that I cared about. And in the quiet, I started to see things that I couldn't see before, and ways that I could use my life to actually make a difference, which is what I had wanted so much to do in my heart. And so again, this sense of like, wait a minute, belonging. Actually, maybe the key to belonging is first belonging to ourselves. To first say, wait, I see who I am, and I'm trying to explore that for myself right now so that I can be a better person for other people. And that path of, reflection and at the same time in parallel, because as President Green mentioned, we started QuestBridge when I was an undergraduate. So I was starting to put into practice, seeing in the lives of my students, the same process of reflection and action, reflection and action. And I realized when we had a summer program. We started this process with a summer program for the same types of students, high-achieving students from low-income backgrounds, most of them first generation to college, the vast majority, still today, that's true. And seeing that and encouraging them and creating space for them to do reflection. And it turns out these 17-year-olds from all over the country, the inner city, from rural America, from the suburbs, they all loved reflection. They loved sitting there and thinking, having the space to say, who are you and what is it that you want to do with your life? And so we tried to create a space where people could really be themselves and then start to design a life for themselves. So what I learned in watching them, because now they tell me all the time, Anna, the most important thing about being a part of QuestBridge is the community, because this community sees me. That had happened from the very beginning of QuestBridge all the way to now. And so this sense of belonging and the sense of community grounded in our own sense of ourselves is, I think, a true key to happiness and to building things that matter in the world. And once you get to a place where you can practice it, and it's never perfect. I am still in a dance with this whole thing, right? This whole, like, who am I and who do I want to be? And this changes and shifts with life stage. But it's actually, we can take cues from our world, and we can have goals, and we can have objectives and all of that. But we also need to know in the end that we're okay with ourselves, right? And I know that I know you all know that. But I think that for me, that C in college just kicked me in the butt and gave me a real excuse, in a sense. It gave my head the excuse my heart needed to do what I needed to do, which it was to really chart a different course. It turns out that Ralph Waldo Emerson, you all know who he is, I'm sure. I learned in my little research that he actually gave a commencement address at Colby College, I think in like 1863 or something like that. So I was like, wow, because he was one of my favorite writers in high school. But he said this, in friendship, there must be very two before there can be very one. And that idea of who are you, and finding that core and really almost embracing that as though you are the most important thing. Like, think about the person that loves you the most, and then love yourself like that. That's a challenge sometimes, but that's how we start to belong to ourselves. And then, once we do that, you can belong to a community of your choosing. You can come as a whole person to a community that you want to either join because they're there and you believe in that and you love it, or you can create one, just as we've been trying to do at QuestBridge. So QuestBridge it is a college access program. That is what it's about, but it's about so much more. Our team, some of whom are sitting right there, and I have been trying to design community that really empowers each and every individual to have that sense of belonging. And belonging is not sameness, as I said. It's actually being at home in your difference. It's actually celebrating difference, and it's saying, even though you're different, even though you're imperfect, the person that you are, we accept you and we embrace you that way. And I find that if you can do that and create that for others, which is what we've been trying to do all this time for QuestBridge, and also to bring QuestBridge scholars into spaces that haven't always heard their voices, and in doing so, trying to make those places, and also helping the students become capable and ready to face a complex world, but also to bring their voices to spaces that actually are stronger because of them. This idea that there's actually, when everybody is trying to find that place in themselves, that the community becomes stronger. Think about a gene pool, right? Variation is a good thing. Variation helps a community or a gene pool to become more resilient, just as different voices that are true to themselves make a community stronger and more resilient. And on top of that, not only can you create those kinds of spaces, you can actually fight for others to have it too. This sense of advocacy, that when you see somebody that is not being respected, or when you see somebody who's being silenced, or when you see someone who cannot use their voice for some reason, you can actually be a part of the process of helping them to come to the front and to be able to use their voice. That is what we've been trying to do all this time with QuestBridge, and it started with a real internal reflection about what's the point of all this anyway for me. At least that was the part of my journey. 25 years after we founded QuestBridge, we had a beautiful celebration in San Francisco. 1,300 QuestBridge scholars and alumni were in attendance. And we had all these amazing speakers and great, panelists and super awesome educational opportunities. But really, hands down, we did a survey. What is it that you love the most about this? Because the students were so happy. And they said, the community, each other. Just look right next to you. That's what matters. That's what made them happy. That's what made them feel seen and heard. And they said that over and over again, I feel seen and heard. And to the extent that you can do that initially for yourself and then for other people, I do believe we can make this world a better place. And so at the threshold of your graduation in this beautiful campus at Colby College, I invite you to really explore and pursue that sense of belonging for yourself, and do that for the rest of your life, and ask yourself year after year, am I doing that? Am I creating community? Am I surrounding myself with people who can see me? And doesn't have to be everybody. Even just one more person is a big deal. And I invite you to not settle for less than a life in which you have that. And then relish in the truth that when you do that, you can then join communities that you choose to belong to with your whole self in. And then you can do the same for other people as well. Congratulations to all of you. It is so exciting and wonderful to see. This is the first graduation I've been to in a long time. So I was just saying to President Green just how happy it makes me to see all of you sitting there. Shout out to all the QuestBridge scholars and your families, some of whom are here for the first time. And of course, to every single one of you, Colby graduates, congratulations. You've come a long way, and I know you're going to do great things. Thank you.